Well, good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Monday, October 10th, the 282nd day of 2023. Leading off the headlines this morning, a new USDA pilot program has grant funding now available for ag employees needing resources to address various farm labor and workforce challenges. More from USDA Radio's Rod Bain.
The ag sector in recent years has faced several challenges regarding its workforce.
How do ag employers support and create a safe and healthy work environment? How do we think about supporting employers and employees so they have a very stronger level of commitment to this positive work environment? The resiliency of our food supply chain, how we need to address ag labor challenges and instability, how we need to strengthen protections for farm workers, and how we need to expand legal pathways for labor migration.
And according to USDA Farm Production and Conservation Deputy Undersecretary Gloria Montaño-Green, USDA's latest effort to address some of these issues is a new pilot program, the Farm Labor Stabilization and Protection Pilot. Up to $65 million in grants are available to domestic ag employers meeting federal employment criteria, with grant applications due November 28th. More details are available online at www.ams.usda.gov/FLSP. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Well, the markets are anxiously awaiting the Thursday release of USDA's next crop production report and the World Agricultural Supply and Demand estimates. More from USDA Radio's Gary Crawford.
Coming up this Thursday, the 12th, the release of USDA's new crop production forecasts. Now, last month, those were based a lot on educated guesstimates of crop yields, but for this upcoming report,
this is really our first opportunity to gauge on a large scale what folks are actually seeing for themselves as they get into that harvest.
Lance Honig with USDA's Ag Statistics Service. It's been surveying about 8,000 farmers for their take on the harvest and their yields, but also USDA's been out doing objective measures.
We actually sample fields of these crops, and we send our trained enumerators into those fields. They go to select locations, take counts, measurements, and this time of year, they're harvesting those portions of the field and sending them off to our lab in St. Louis where we're measuring yield for ourselves.
So Honig says this upcoming report should be very close to what actual production is going to turn out to be. That report comes out Thursday the 12th. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
And 2024 marks the 100th anniversary of USDA's Agricultural Outlook Forum, with initial details about the centennial event recently announced. Here again with more details is Rod Bain.
Perhaps the most significant detail about the 2024 USDA Agricultural Outlook Forum is...
This is the 100th Agricultural Outlook Forum, so started back in 1924.
World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski providing some of the initial details regarding next year's Centennial Ag Outlook Forum, including...
Note on the date, because the forum is actually going to take place 1 week earlier than it has over the past several years. So it's going to be February 15th and 16th in 2024.
Also announced, the theme of the upcoming forum.
The theme is cultivating the future. So it's sort of a recognition that we've hit that 100-year milestone, and now we're going to continue to look ahead for agricultural markets and look at how challenges facing the sector are going to be solved.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Also this morning, a new USDA pilot program has grant funding now available for ag employees needing resources to address various farm labor and workforce challenges. Here one final time is Rod Bain.
The ag sector in recent years has faced several challenges regarding its workforce.
How do ag employers support and create a safe and healthy work environment? How do we think about supporting employers and employees so they have a very stronger level of commitment to this positive work environment? The resiliency of our food supply chain, how we need to address ag labor challenges and instability, how we need to strengthen protections for farm workers, and how we need to expand legal pathways for labor migration.
And according to USDA Farm Production and Conservation Deputy Undersecretary Gloria Montaño-Green, USDA's latest effort to address some of these issues is a new pilot program, the Farm Labor Stabilization and Protection Pilot. Up to $65 million in grants are available to domestic ag employers meeting federal employment criteria, with grant applications due November 28th. More details are available online at www.ams.usda.gov/FLSP. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
And finally this morning, sustainable aviation fuel is shaping up to be a big opportunity for renewable fuel. Ted Hepner, Vice President of Strategy and Innovation for the Renewable Fuels Association, talks about SAF.
Sustainable aviation fuel is kind of a category of renewable fuel, can be from fats, oils, and greases. There's also pathways that are available for upgrading of alcohol to aviation fuel as well. So it's a category of jet fuel. All kinds, anything that uses Jet A, right? So airliners, military aircraft, anything that uses Jet A compatible turbine engine.
The U.S. is already producing some sustainable aviation fuel, but there's a need for more infrastructure in place before the industry can grow.
There's between 16 and 18 million gallons of sustainable aviation fuel produced annually. That's a very small number. We are in the process of ramping up those pathways to produce more sustainable aviation fuel. It's going to be a process, but I think with the recent passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, it's given opportunity for renewable fuels to play more of a part in the aviation transport sector.
Corn and soybean farmers are going to see a lot of opportunity as the sustainable aviation fuel industry continues growing.
We're going to see a little bit of increased production as far as ethanol. If we're talking about the alcohol to jet space, we're going to see increased ethanol production, and maybe a larger percentage of that maybe go toward sustainable aviation fuel production, with hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles playing a somewhat larger part of the future of over-the-road transportation. We think a certain amount of the ethanol or the alcohol that's used to produce ethanol fuels is going to kind of maybe pivot a little bit into the sustainable aviation space.
If demand increases for feedstock farmers produce, it can mean higher prices in the future.
I think there's an opportunity for higher prices for farmers in the future. You know, we've seen advances in agronomics to produce more crops on the same acre of land, but at the same time, if we increase demand for these types of products, along with incentive structures, we're going to see some opportunity for producers to take advantage of some of that as well.
Well, you can keep up with the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you our award-winning agriculture programming, as well as the best in traditional country music, mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. Hey, we're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go this harvest season. We'll get you through those long, challenging days this fall. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.